Yibunei HaMikdash Hirtzio Inte Malai Okor Les Ozman.
Welcome to our channel. In this video, Rabbi Kolakowski, affectionately known as the Koblenzer Rebbe, will teach us an interesting bit of history about the Parah Adumah, the Red Heifer, and the disagreements between the Pharisees and the Sadducees in the time of the Second Temple. Let's watch.
All right, Bruchim Aboim, welcome everyone. This week's Parshas Vayakel and Parshas Parah. Parah is the third of the four special Parshios that we read. This comes from the book of Numbers, chapter 19, and it talks about the Parah Adumah, the red heifer, which was required to remove the impurity of contact with the dead before one could enter the temple. The fascinating thing about the red heifer is that it is matami tahorim umatar tameim, that it makes those things which are unclean clean, and those which are clean unclean. Although the level of uncleanliness, the level of tumah that comes from the ashes of the red heifer, is much less than the purity that is achieved by being sprinkled by the red heifer's ashes. We have many stories throughout Jewish history about the red heifer. One of the most fascinating parts of the laws of the red heifer is that the Sadducees believed in a strict interpretation of how the priest had to prepare the red heifer. And then this way they were more strict than the rabbinical Jews, who they often derisively called the Pharisees. The explanation is like this. When it comes to purity laws, generally, going to the mikveh during the daytime puts one into a limbo state until the night actually falls. And at nightfall one gains full purity if one immerses in the mikveh during the day. This limbo state is called a tvul yom, someone who immersed during the day. The Sadducees, which were a heretical sect that believed in sola scriptura, understood that when it said that a pure man must take the ashes, that the purity was in the strictest sense, that this included waiting till nightfall. However, the rabbinical tradition said the opposite, that one may be in this limbo state of the tvul yom and prepare the ashes. And so there is a certain level of purity that is gained by going to the mikveh during the daytime, not only waiting until nightfall. And that level of purity was sufficient to prepare the ashes of the red heifer. With that being said, there's nothing wrong to be strict. However, Maimonides says that in order to cancel out the thoughts of these wanton heretics who make up their own interpretations of Scripture that do not come from our tradition, the rabbis did something fantastic. They would go out of their way to defile the priest who was preparing the red heifer during the time of the Sadducees, which many of the priests were Sadducees, and that's sad, you see. And they would maybe take some kind of a dead lizard and touch him with this dead lizard and then tell him he has to go to the mikveh. And then he was ready, because he was in this limbo state, even though it was not necessary to be in limbo state. If he was in the state of higher purity, it was also okay. But the rabbis want to teach us that sometimes being strict is also wrong, and that to make up a stringency that has no source is a problem, particularly if it's rooted in heresy or idolatry. And so for this reason, they would defile the high priest, or the other priest. It doesn't need to be a high priest, who would prepare the ashes of the red heifer. The Tosefta brings a very interesting story, and it's brought down in Tosfos, about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, that he actually hid a sheretz, an impure dead animal, in his pocket, and put his hands and blessed the high priest and told him, "You're such a good high priest, you're worthy to go," even though he really wasn't, to go prepare the ashes, go to the mikveh, and then go prepare the ashes. So in that way, it was somewhat of a subterfuge. Fascinating thing about the red heifer is that it could be taken from anywhere. And so our rabbis say that the handle from the axe comes from the forest itself. I know Matisyahu had a song like that, chop them down, took from the Medrash. The lesson that we have here is very interesting, that even those who might be negative to us can be used to bring purity as well, as long as we follow the rules. And sometimes from the very source, just like Obadiah was a prophet from the Edomites, and he was a convert, and he prophesied against the Edomites, and King David, his great-grandmother, was a Moabite, and he fought against the Moabites. So too, the powers of death can be defeated with the power of the red heifer, even though death came into the world through the sin of the golden calf. We should be all worthy to find the purity and be worthy to be sprinkled with the ashes of the red heifer and go, hopefully this year, to Jerusalem and eat of this Paschal sacrifice. God bless. How do we turn this thing off, this one?
Yibunei HaMikdash, Hirtzia in the Malai, O Korles Ozman.
So I wanted to add a postscript on what I was saying about Parshas Parah, about how the Tzaddukim wanted to be strict and didn't allow the Kohen surface of Parah, that the priest who was burning the ashes of the red heifer, to do so until he had Harav Shemesh, until the sun came down. So he was in a kind of a limbo state until the sun went down. And the rabbi said just the opposite. He has to be in the limbo state in order to show that the Tzaddukim are wrong, even though he doesn't really have to, but they did so just for that purpose of showing that the Tzaddukim are wrong. There are other examples of that I can think of in Jewish practice even today. One is that the Tzaddukim said they understood Lo Savaro Eish B'chol Mosh V'Seichem, and says you should not burn any fires in any of your dwelling place on the Sabbath day. So they were lenient in other things, but in this they were strict. Not only they didn't burn any fires, they didn't allow fires previously burning to stay lit. So for that reason, we have several practices just to the opposite. We light candles before Shabbos to demonstrate, so we don't sit in the dark, and to demonstrate our emunah, that we are allowed to have that fire. We can say bracha on it. Even though that's not mentioned in Chazal, it only came about in the time of the Gaonim that it's mentioned, although perhaps it was earlier and it just is not mentioned in Chazal. Another example is eating hot foods on Shabbos. We eat the cholent or cham, or we eat it exactly because someone who doesn't eat this on Shabbos, they could be worse, they're a heretic. And so we eat this on Shabbos to demonstrate that we're not heretics. We believe that the Torah, the oral Torah, is also binding, that we are allowed to have fire in the house as long as we're not burning the fire. And so that's that's another example. So, in a way, when you eat the cholent on Shabbos, especially, not everyone has beef in their cholent. Some people have chicken or turkey or just parva cholent, whatever. But if you have beef, I guess you can remember the Adumah. Also, the same inyan of the that's with the Adumah, with the cholent. Other examples, and we see that the sages and the Hasidic masters and Kabbalists placed great emphasis on these types of practices because they're demonstrating our devotion to the two sages, and I remember someone once said, I don't know, I think I was a New Square for Shabbos when I was a bacher, and the father of the house there, he said he wanted to make sure that everybody in his house, every child had at least one spoonful of cholent, because when you're eating cholent, it's like you're eating your amunah, you're demonstrating your amunah by eating the cholent, by eating the hot food on Shabbos. So there's a lot to go on there that you have to have in mind when you're taking care of with Shabbos and all kinds of things. Alright, well, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and be strong in your amunah. And we have these wonderful mitzvos and minhagim that are there to help us to be successful in our amunah. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless. Be well.
We hope you enjoyed this content. This channel has over 5,000 videos, including Torah commentary, podcasts, footage of Jewish and historical events, and much more. We are sure you will find more videos you will enjoy. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button, and comment. Rabbi Kolakowski often makes videos based on questions in the comment section, so you might have a video made just for you. By helping this channel grow, you are helping to spread Torah. God bless.
Yibunei HaMikdash, Hirtzia in the Malay.